All right. Here's my Confessions of a Guitar Hack, episode 2. You know, I started this because I put together a band. Probably be my last band. So, thought I'd document the shenanigans, the goings on. And right now, we're in rehearsals. We're rehearsing the band to get a song list ready to play out. We're a blues band. And we're trying to come up with a name. You know, when you have a band, in my opinion, the name is absolutely irrelevant. You know, you take a great band like the band Rush. They could have been called, Dirt Floor. They could have been called, Jetstream City. They could have been called, Canada's Finest, whatever. Because the band itself was so good, it doesn't matter what your name is. Now, having said that, I think that there are band names that are real cool. In our case, I like to just come up with, lists of names. Okay, this is the process for picking out a name, okay? Everybody comes up with a list of names that they like. Okay? And the process that I normally use with the band is each member of the band picks out their 3 favorite names from the lists. So everybody makes a list of names, right? And then you give the list to everybody. So everybody has a copy of the lists. So if there's 3 people in your band, there's 3 lists circulating, okay, for each person. Okay. Now, each person picks their 3 favorite names off of the lists, and you put them in a hat, and then you just draw at random. So you don't have to pick 3 names off your own list. Someone else could have come up with a better name than you, And the thing with that is, if there's a consensus of the name, right, you won't even have to do this. So if you're like looking at lists and everybody goes, oh yeah, that name is great, then you just don't bother. But if you can't come to a consensus, here's some names that I came up with for the blues band. Blues Drawn Down. Blues Jelly. Velvet Blues Hammer. Blues in Babylon. 7 Blues Down. The Blues Riders. Blues Kid. Blues Dust Angel. That can go on and on. But so basically, everybody has a copy of everybody else's list. You pick the 3 names out, each person, or 4 or 5, whatever you want. You put them in a hat, and then you draw out the name, and that's the name of your band. So this band that I have is in the process of doing that right now. Finding a name. And we are rehearsing our list. Right now we're up to 20 songs. A blues band is going to play a lot of bar gigs. When you play in a blues band, you're going to play a lot of bar gigs. And bar gigs are 3 one-hour sets. So when you're getting ready to play out, if you're an original band, you could have one good 45-minute set and be good. But when you're playing in a blues band, you're going to play bars. So you come up with 3 1-hour sets. That's what we're in the process of doing right now. And this is a guitar that I settled on for the band. This is a Fender Custom Shop body right here. Relict. 1955. Custom Shop body. These are Mark Foley pickups in here. Mark Foley Elma combo pickups. We have the American CTS switches in here. This is a 5-way switch. This is a master tone control, so it controls every pickup. And then I have a blender knob here. This blender knob, what it does is when I'm in this position right here, it turns on this pickup and this pickup. Then when I'm here, it turns all 3 of them on. So right now it's just normal. And this is all 3 pickups right here. Here's just the neck pickup. Now this is the neck pickup and the bridge pickup. This is a David Gilmour setting. David Gilmour used this setting a lot, his bridge pickup and his neck pickup. So with this blender knob, you can get that setting. Really neat. Maple neck off of a 2000 Stratocaster. I forget what model, American made, year 2000 Stratocaster. The body is ash, which I think the ash body kind of lifts the guitar sound, in my opinion. And that's the setup. This is a guitar I'm going to be using in the band. I've decided that. After recording a couple different guitars that I was playing at rehearsals, I listened back to the recordings, and this guitar right here has a really good sound. I put Tusk saddles on it, and I have to tell you, these Tusk saddles sound good. They sound good. I don't think they're as bright as steel. I think a stainless steel saddle or a titanium saddle gives you a brighter tone, but I think these give you a more harmonically rich tone. Like it cuts some of the high end out, but it adds a whole bunch of different frequencies in there that are very pleasant to the ear, in my opinion. And I play very, very clean. Like this is a sound that I normally use, you know. So I like the richness of these saddles. So I've decided to use this guitar in the band. And I'm using a Fuchs Blackjack 21 amplifier. And it came with a speaker called a Wheelhouse speaker. I think it's called a T65, something 65, and 65 watt speaker. And I mean, I don't mind the sound of it, but I'm looking for a different speaker for the amp, and I'm looking for a little bit of a smoother sound to this amp. And this speaker is like a British imitation speaker, like Celestion imitation. So it's a little brittle. And when you get into your speakers, there's a couple things you want to think about. Number one is the magnet. The first magnets they used were Alnico magnets. So if you want a vintage sound, a lot of people go for Alnico magnets. Someone like Eric Johnson, will use Alnico magnets. The next upgrade was ceramic or ferrite magnets. So most of the speakers you get are ceramic magnets. And then the latest one is called the Neo. It's either neodymium or neodyne magnets. Neo. If you see a Celestion, it'll say Neo Celestion. So, I'm looking through these speakers, and there's some things you really want to consider. Now, if you're playing a lot of distortion and just ripping, go with the Celestion and just kind of go through some demos of these speakers and just, you can't go wrong with the Celestion speaker. I looked at Weber speakers, Tone Tubby speakers, Eminence speakers, what do they call Tone Speak speakers, Jupiter speakers, all kinds of speakers. But you want to consider the cone. The cone of the speaker is paper, usually. And the cone can be flat or it can be ribbed. So you want to consider that. There's also a way that they can connect the speaker to the basket, and that's like a cloth over edge or a paper edge. That's also important. On the Weber website, they give you the option of doing everything, and they have this option of dope. They call it dope. How much dope you want on your speaker. How much dope you want your speaker to be on. And they explain the differences in the dope. So you want to consider the paper or hemp. There's hemp. You can get hemp. Now, I ended up with a hemp speaker because the hemp fiber is very long. It's a very long fiber. So when you make a hemp paper cone, it's a different consistency. When you're making the regular paper cone out of a tree, you have to use the pulp and they have to bind it together to make the fiber. But the hemp has a fiber that's so long that it's a different process when you make it. So the hemp supposedly gives a more of a less edgy sound, a less brittle sound, which I like the idea of. So I ended up ordering a hemp cone speaker with a neodyne magnet, neodymium, I'm not sure. The newest type of magnet. And I did that because I like technology. I like the way things move forward. Now, I'm also kind of a purist too. So I don't mind, doing something like we did at 1955. I don't mind using a speaker, Alnico speaker magnet. I don't mind. I have no problem with it. And if you want to get an 80s metal sound, and all the 80s metal guys were using ceramic speakers, I have no problem using a ceramic speaker to get that sound. For me personally, I'm looking for a real fast response to what I'm playing, because a lot of my sound is in my hands. I'm looking to get a jump when I need it, and a little bit of a softer side when I need it, because I'm doing a lot of my tone manipulation with my hands. So I went with the Neodyne speaker, the Neo speaker. It's called a Wheelhouse 150 by Eminence. Eminence has a long history of making speakers. I looked at JBL speakers, Jensen speakers, every speaker you can think of. And I went with Eminence because of the tone of the speaker is very even. There's a chart that they put out that shows the frequency response of the speakers. And you might want to look at that when you're buying a speaker, because you can see the frequency response, if it responds well to high end or it's a low end type speaker. This one's like even across the board, which I really like, because then you get to determine what your speaker sounds like. So once again, if you have a speaker that has a high frequency response rate, you can turn up the bass in your amp to make up for that. Or you can cut the highs on your amp if it's too brittle. And it'll help. But a speaker does have a voicing. It does have a certain voice. And so I'm looking for a voice that's like real even, real smooth, which is why I picked the Hemp cone, and real responsive, which is why I picked the Neo magnet. So I'm going to dial up my sound via the amp, And so when I get that done, I'm going to have my amplifier set up the way I want it. I'm going to have my guitar set up the way I want it for the band. And this is all for the band. This is all to get the band going, so to speak, to get a sound into band. Because I think it's real important for a band to have a trademark sound, Every time you hear them, they sound like that, And so I'm getting the amp ready, the guitar ready. I've got the guitar right here, got the amp. So right now I'm going to do a sound demo of the rest of the video is going to be a sound demo of the speaker. And right now I'm using the Wheelhouse speaker. I think it's called T65, T65. Something 65, I'll look it up. But it's a Wheelhouse speaker. This is the stock speaker in the amplifier. And my Wheelhouse 150 is going to arrive via UPS, they said, by 1:15. That's 9 minutes from now. So we'll see. But I have the amp set flat, all the knobs set even. I've got one gain channel kind of up, and I've got one clean channel. And I'm going to just play some stuff on this, some open chords, some power chords, some little lead licks, so you can kind of hear what the stock Wheelhouse speaker sounds like to compare it to the Wheelhouse 150. So when I get the Wheelhouse 150, I'm going to put it in the amp. I've got the area taped off where the amp is, so I can put the amp in exactly the same place. I'm using the exact guitar settings, and these are just normal settings, just on the rhythm pickup of the guitar, single coil pickup, Mark Foley Elma combo pickup. And I'm not going to move the microphone. I'm not going to move the microphone settings. I'm not going to change anything when I put in the new speaker. So here we go. This is a demo of the Fuchs amp with the stock Wheelhouse 65 speaker in it. That's a clean sound. Now I'll do a distorted sound. Overdrive. That's with a little bit of overdrive. So when I get the Hemp speaker, the Wheelhouse 150, I'll put it in here and I'll come back and we'll see what it sounds like. All right. Well, I got the speaker. Showed up at 5 o'clock, not 1 o'clock, but that's okay. Let's see what I got here. I've already got the other speaker out of the amp, so these things are real easy to install. If you ever get the hankering to install one. Midwest Speaker Repair. Got this on eBay. Total was $227.52. So the Wheelhouse of course it says we're not going to refund you your shipping. If you want to bring the speaker back, you have to pay for the shipping. Okay, well there's a box inside the box, so I guess this is a Eminence box here. Beware, may contain sharp edges. Eminence Wheelhouse 150 Signature Guitar Series, designed and assembled in the USA. But when they say that, I always think it's designed and assembled in the USA, but where did they make the parts? So it's real misleading to say designed and assembled in the USA, because the parts are probably made overseas and then shipped here, and then they assemble it. So, you know, that's what I think when I hear that. So this is probably not quote unquote made in the USA. Parts are probably made somewhere else, then shipped over here, and then quote unquote assembled. That's pretty neat. It's got a little like a cord attaching it to a piece of cardboard. Oh, there it is. It's in there. It's in there. All right, we got a Wheelhouse. All right, we got a Wheelhouse 150 right here. Smells like weed. Boy, that hemp cone. That hemp cone smells like weed. Ooh. There it is. This is the hemp cone right here. Ribbed. Looks pretty good. 150 watt. Wheelhouse hemp cone speaker. So I'm going to go put it in the amplifier and we will see how it does. Here we have it. I have replaced the speaker in the Fuchs Blackjack 21 with a Wheelhouse 150 made by Eminence. So everything is the same, settings are the same, guitar is the same, mic distance the same, everything. This is the speaker. This is with the EQ the same. So this is not EQ'd for my personal taste, it's straight up EQ. With some overdrive. Boy, it handles overdrive very well. The overdrive sounds really good through it. The clean sound, the speaker definitely takes the edge off of the clean sound. It's a lot smoother. Sound to me is a lot smoother. It's not as pointed. It's not as sharp. It's not as brittle or edgy, which you may want a brittle, edgy tone, you know. And if you do, I don't know if I get this speaker. I mean, I like it. I like it more than the other speaker. And I'm going to work with it a little bit here and try to get a sound out of it. And, but I do like it more than the other speaker. It took some of the sponginess out of the amp too. The Neo Magnet, neodymium or neodymium. The magnet took some of the sponginess out of the amp. The amp is a little bit more responsive. So there you have it, the Wheelhouse 150 from Eminence, hemp coned speaker with a Neo magnet.